What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're having a look at Unity ads. So we can play regular ads just like this. We have a skip button at the top over here and a rewarded ad which doesn't have a skip button. And the cool thing about this system is that we branch out in different scripts. So basically it's not the typical implementation. We add one layer on top of it, so we have like a small callback that lets us start an ad from any kind of script that we want anywhere in our code, and then add our callback over here and decide whether or not we give something to the player or we don't. So that's what we'll be doing today. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's have a look at our scene like we always do. We have two items. We have the add test, which is just an empty game object that contains our add test script, and then on top of that there is a canvas with two buttons in it. Those two buttons, they will be playing function that are inside the add test function. One of them is called play ad and the other one is called play rewarded ad. So let's have a look at those really quickly. Alright, so here they are. So those are the two functions being called by the buttons. The first one is going to call our future Unity Ads Manager, and it will show a regular ad with a callback called onAdClose. Same thing down here, this one does a rewarded ad. So basically they're going to come in pair, they're the same thing. This is how we'll be calling most of our ads. So you're going to say, okay, at this point in our game, we're in between two levels or the player died. Let's go ahead, call the Unity Ads Manager, get the instance, and then show a regular ad or rewarded ad. Then you're going to send in a callback. Now it's very important that your callback has this very specific signature down here. So it needs a show result signature in here. And then after that, you decide whether or not you do something with that result. So right here, if it's a regular ad, I don't care whether the ad was even played. I don't care if it was skipped. I don't care if it was completed fully. I just don't care. However, if it's a reward ad and I'm supposed to give something out to the player, then in this case, I do care, and we can do a nice switch on the result to know, okay, so it finished, it got skipped, or it failed. So this implementation is fairly easy, and now we have to create our Unity Ads Manager. But before we go and we do that, there is something very important that you need to do if you want to have ads enabled. So you're going to need to come over here at the top right side. There is a small cloud icon. You're going to need to click on it and enable the ads. So we're going to speak a little bit later on why it doesn't work most of the time. Like if you're just opening a new project or an old project that we're using ads, sometimes they don't work after a long time, and that's mostly because this got disabled or Unity ad is not supported on the device you're actually publishing right now. So make sure you enable this, that's very important. So ads need to be on. I'm also using test mode right now. And then on top of that, you need to be on a device that actually support that. So Unity ad doesn't run on standalone as far as I know. Maybe it does now, but last time I checked it didn't. So I'm on Android or iOS. These two will work. All right, so everything is configured. You know how to call the Unity Ads Manager. It's time to actually create it, right? Let's double click on it and let's have a look at our lines right now. So at the very top over here, I am going to put my Unity Engine advertisement into pre-compiler brackets. That is going to ask, the compiler, do we have Unity ads enabled for this device, basically. If we go back and we turn off this thing, if we go back and turn off this little button, this one is going to be false. Right now it's true. It shows up at gray because it's unnecessary. We're not using it at the moment, but it will eventually light up. Now we're going to try and code this in such a way that if you don't want ads running, but you have this in your project, it's not going to cause any crash. So we're going to be using this pre-compiler statement quite a lot. Let's actually start with an instance. So let's start with our usual singleton stuff right here. So our instance, if it doesn't exist, we spawn one, and that's it. So that code, the same code we have every single episode when we create a system like that. Next up, we're going to need a couple of fields. First, what is your game ID? That you'll be able to get on the dashboard. We'll check that out in a bit. So leave it blank, make sure it is a string. And then test mode, this is whether or not you're in production or not. So you can't run ads by yourself at home. It's just, not allowed. So if Google sees that you're running ads and it's always coming from the same device, they're going to block your, not Google, in this case Unity, they're going to block your Mac ID most likely. So next up, we're going to need a couple of IDs. We need two IDs. One that lets you know that this is a regular ad, and the other one that lets you know it's a rewarded video ad. So this is important because rewarded video ad that we'll be creating on the dashboard, they don't give you a skip button. So if you want to give out something to your player, he needs to watch the whole thing. Don't give him the option to skip, and this is going to be decided on the website. Alright, so next up we have a private void awake. So when we start this thing, let's go ahead and initialize the advertisement system. This is something required. You're going to need to send in your game ID and whether or not it is a test, whether or not you're in test mode. And then we create our function we'll be calling from outside. So it's quite an easy one. So here it is. Public void show regular ad. This is going to be for the regular section, but note that we're just going to be copy and pasting this for the rewarded section as well. So this is something you define yourself. I decided to add the callback as a parameter. So when I'm inside of, say, Unity add test in this case, I can just send in another function in that script, in that scope. I can decide what's going to happen when the ad is over. And that's why I decided to send in an action like this. And the action, of course, is going to send you the show result. This is why we needed show result as a parameter over here. So what do we do? What exactly do we do to start the ad? Well, first, we have to check whether or not it's ready. How do we check if it's ready? There's a simple if statement, just like so, that lets you check whether or not it's ready. So you're gonna ask is ready, and you need to send in your placement ID. So if you're gonna ask for a regular ad, a banner ad, you need to know if that one is ready. Now there might be a case where it's not ready, probably because you're not online, or maybe because you're trying to spawn an ad right as the app starts. There's a reason that it might not be ready, and in case that's the case, well, maybe you just want to wait a little bit more before you do place it. So I just put a else statement that says, hey, it's not ready. So maybe try waiting a little bit more, or spawn your ad later in your application, or go online. Maybe you're not even online and you can't download an ad. But if it's ready and the stars align, well, let's create ourselves a new show option, which is a structure we're going to send in our show function. In the show option, you'll be defining the result callback. So what will be called once this is completed, once the ad has been completed. And then we call in the famous advertisement.show. This one comes in many fashion. There's 4 different overload. You can just call a show, which is going to use your default parameter. This is going to be something you can define on the website. You can send in your placement ID, so whether or not you want regular ad, reward ad, banner ad. You can also send in your show options. You know, there's 4 different overload with the 2 different parameters. You could just decide to show like a regular ad without sending parameter as well. That would be something doable. Basically, it would mean that there's no callback after that. But I am not doing this. Instead, I'd rather just add myself a callback no matter what. And that's it. That's all you actually needed over here. All right, so at this point, let's go ahead and duplicate it into a rewarded ad. That's the most important one. So show rewarded ad. The only thing we need to change is just the placement ID. In fact, you know, you could have just made one function and sent it as a parameter whether or not you wanted to have the placement ID there. But in my case, I like having those 2 separated. And also make sure that you change it down here as well. Okay, so that being completed, what we're gonna do now is we're going to wrap all of this, maybe excluding the instance. Yeah, maybe we don't include the instance, but wrap all of this within pre-compiler tags, like so. Why? Well, so if we're not running Unity ads, well, it doesn't crash. In fact, the best way to do it would be to put it right in here. Yep, that will do it. So you can still call the function from outside. However, it's not going to do anything if it's not supported. In fact, you could have like a else statement that says over here, ads not supported. So I'm gonna do that right here. And we'll copy that as well in the show reward ad. There we go. Okay, a little bit of mumbo jumbo. If you want to download this, you can download it directly on the website, by the way, in case you got lost during this little transition. I wouldn't really mind it if you went ahead and downloaded it directly from the website. Okay, so is that it? Do we have all we need? Well, usually, oh wait, we don't have a definition for instance. Okay, that has been fixed. Usually we go ahead and we drag and drop our Unity Ad Manager in here. So usually you just want to have that somewhere in the scene. But do note that the code we keep copy and pasting all the time at the top over here will create an instance if there is none. So let's go ahead and test that one out as well. I'm going to delete it, press on play. Oh, those buttons, by the way, they're already hooked in my Unity tests. And something I've just realized as I've tested this one out is that we're already calling Initialize, like it's already being called automatically when editor is loading. So Maybe it's already being called when it's loading on your device. However, I'm not sure, so I'm going to leave the call in there, just for good practice. That's also what Unity does themselves, so let's go ahead and play an ad. All right, so we got a regular ad over here. We can skip. Regular ad close, because we had no code down there. We had no code that decided, we should do something if it's closed, if it's finished, or it didn't work at all. Now let's try with a rewarded ad, and let's close this one up. Ad finish, reward player. So close is going to show up only when it's over, basically. You can also decide to skip it. Now what it's going to say is ad skip, no can be. So just like this, you'll be able to go in your define callback. And of course, this is your test script. This is your implementation script. So you could say, well, here, instead of just doing a debug.log, you could actually unlock a door or play again or have another life, something like that. But wait up, we're not done just yet. We still need to go and configure our ad manager, which means, hey, we test our instance, but we still need to, leave it somewhere, which makes me remember that we have to make sure we don't destroy this one on load. So game object like so. Now it's going to persist through scene. So the reason I did that is so I can put it in my game anywhere really, drop it somewhere, and then start configuring our script. So let's see, we need the game ID. The game ID can be found directly under the cloud, under ads. Can we actually find the game ID here? Huh. Okay, maybe not. What we'll need to do is go to the dashboard either way. So go ahead and press on go to dashboard, which will eventually lead up to a page like this. You'll need to find your project, maybe make sure it's the right project on the left-hand side. And then under monetization, you'll be able to find placement. This is the ID that we were talking about. So this is the regular video. I didn't make this, by the way, it already came like that. And then just beneath it is the rewarded video. You can also, change it a little bit more. You can add personalized limit. I'm not sure what this is, but it looks quite cool. You also have the banner as we're discussing a little bit. So once you have these ID, you can go right away in your game and type those in. So I'm gonna go right over here for my reward video. It's video, actually it's rewarded video, and the other one is just video, if I recall properly. Yep. So we have these two. Now let's go under platform. We're doing that for, in this case, that's going to be Android. So I'm going to be taking this game ID over here. Oh, whoops. All right, so I got the ID over here, and then we should be ready to go. So let's try that one again. See if we have a different play reward ad. So as you can see over here, we play reward ad and we don't get the skip button. Did you see that? We don't get any skip button, and that's the big difference in between a normal ad and a other ad. So a rewarded ad. Here for the normal one. So I encourage you guys to go test out the personalized placement. I don't know what this is, but it seems quite cool. So maybe you want to go test that one out, and let me know exactly what you think about it in the comment section down below. So that being done, we got ads out of the way. Now let's go ahead and move on to some UI stuff for the next two episodes. Guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will be catching you tomorrow.